I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless you.
God bless you. What's up, everybody? Today is the date of July 24th of 2026. I just now realized my entire background is gone. I was deleting some files last night, so it makes sense. Oops. Hold on. Don't worry, though, guys. We'll get a beachfront. Let me get a beachfront property real quick, and we'll fix it. We will fix it. Let's be in a jungle. You know, I want to be in a jungle today. I'm feeling like being in a jungle. You know what I mean? Dude, is that real? I think it is. Whoa. You know, the Earth, it's such a beautiful place, guys. It really is. We live in such a beautiful, truly, such a beautiful world, don't we? Don't we? Yo, what's up, Bill? How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Hey, what's up, Sumdum and Shavila? Hope you guys are doing well. Right now, I'm just, getting a picture for our background here. Some demons took it. You know, actually, I like this one, too. I think this one's actually really good. And it'll be low quality enough. What's up, High Inquisitor Farquad? How are you doing today? There we go. And then we can stretch it out and make it look really bad. Oh, yes. I knew I was hitting something with this one. I knew it. Anyways, what's up, guys? We got it there. Keep it like this. Why would I do that? No background? No background? You're crazy. Anyways, guys, we all know what I'm going to be talking about today. We all know. It's in the title. One of the rare times I talk about the title for more than 5 minutes. We all know what's going on today. I will most likely be on Discord in general here in a moment. Shout out to Bill for announcing the stream, beating me there. Anyways, so the issue is, I do have an issue, okay? I didn't watch The Odyssey last night. I forgot. I'll be honest, okay? I forgot. But I really do like hearing them cry about things. So I think I can probably, and like, what are their criticisms gonna be? If it's movie dependent, I'll try to steer clear of it. But the issue is, these guys are not going to talk about the movie. Excuse me? God. Just right off the bat, a jump scare, bro. This motherfucker actually jump scared me. All right, we need some background music. One moment. Oh my god, he actually jump scared. He jump scared me. Grrr. I bet he does that. I've got a good fit. Okay. I bet he goes, grrr.
Greetings and
I knew it!
salutations, friends, and welcome back to Stamford Bridge, where today we're gonna do a...
What the fuck is going on with this little, like, character right here, dude? By the way, what the fuck is Stamford Bridge? What is Stamford Bridge? Let's look that up. Is that like a famous thing? There's a Stamford Bridge. Okay, okay. It's a football stadium. Oh. It's just a stadium? Okay. Well, that's weird.
Special little review of The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's, heavy quotation marks intended, historical epic.
Oh, it's not historical, guys. Now, guys, I have a question. And I'm wondering, did you guys know that the Odyssey, like, actually didn't happen? Did you guys know, like, it's a fake story? And it didn't actually happen? So, like, how can it be historical, right? How can it be historical? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. How can it be the Odyssey, right? That story that Homer wrote, yeah, it's not a real telling. Did you know that, Arch? Were you aware of that? Yeah, it didn't happen. Crazy, right? Yeah, I hope they make the Cyclops historically accurate.
We have all seen it. We have all suffered through. How long was it?
We've
3 hours and something, I think.
Oh my god, they're gonna complain how long it is. Oh my goodness. You know, I don't even think I need to watch it. It's gonna be like, I guarantee you these motherfuckers were not sitting through that just like patient, you know, they were just angry the entire time, I bet. Angry.
Just under 3 hours.
Just under 3 hours, yes.
Ugh. Why is Sargon? Damn it. Okay, so I won't lie. I was thinking about Sargon, right? It's been a while since somebody thought about him. You know what his name should be? Instead of Sargon of Akkad, he should rename to Nimrod. Okay? Hold on. That was an amazing joke, and I'll tell you why. Okay? Who's King Nimrod in the Bible? All right? Who's King Nimrod? Nimrod was a biblical figure. Great-grandson of Noah, right? Because this guy, he ain't, you know, he doesn't believe in the Persian faith. So he should rename to Nimrod. And also, I mean, hey, first mighty ruler. But something they don't tell you in the church, guys, is that Nimrod is a Nephilim! He's a Nephilim! Alright, I'm sorry. Whoa, their faces even look similar! Oh my god. Holy shit. I think we found it. He took Sargon of Akkad, but his name is actually Nimrod. fucking chuds or something like that. I don't know.
2 hours and 53 minutes.
Yeah, painfully long.
Yes,
Yeah,
and the worst part,
painfully
it's so
long.
obvious.
Painfully long. Oh, bro. This is why we're watching. Okay? So just soak it in. Just soak it in, because this is why we're watching. Painfully long. Yeah. Yeah! Sargon is used to YouTube shorts. I had a joke about Arch, but I'm a professional.
They did not need to be that long because there are long periods of just waffle.
Yep.
Waffle! Waffle! Wow, these guys are really professional reviewers, actually. Yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah, the term waffle. I know what you're talking about. I wasn't expecting these, this professional level of feedback, but I stand, proven wrong. Proven wrong.
I mean, it's like, it feels like he was way too.
Ah! Is that a girl? Whoa, guys, they got a girl. Dude, this is huge for the gamers. They have a girl on Stanford Bridge. Whoa, hold on, guys. Hold on. This changes the game. I completely respect them now. Uh-oh. Well, look, I can't make fun of it. There's a girl in there, guys.
Too long, but too short at the same time. It feels.
Just kidding. What a fucking stupid statement. Too long, but too short at the same time? That doesn't make any sense. Is that what you tell your boyfriend? This must be what she has a lot. She's used to this, right? That's what she has to tell her husband. It's too long, but too short at the same time. We all know what she's saying, though. We all know what she's saying, though. Anyways.
Too short if they were actually going to be accurate with the retelling of the story.
Accurate with the retelling of a fantasy story. How are you able to do that, ma'am? Ma'am, how do you do that? Can you, like, explain that to me, maybe? Accurate with the retelling of the story? The retelling of the fantasy story that never happened? Okay. Seems a little strange, but I'm following. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. Right? Like, what the fuck does that mean? Retelling of the story. Okay. Like every movie that is based off of a book. Yeah, that's another oh man, that's so good. Good job, Sumdum. I agree.
but it felt way too long for whatever the hell Nolan was trying to do.
Nolan! Hold on. Nolan! Hold on. Let me see Nolan. Christopher Nolan. Let's see. Whatever the hell Nolan was trying to do. Look at this guy. Woke scumbag. Woke scum. Look at this wokey. Oh, who's that behind him? Is that Jeffrey Epstein? Actually, I don't think that is, but looks to me like Jeffrey Epstein.
Well,
Well, God, dude. I could literally spend all my I could do this for the next fucking year. I fucking love making fun of these guys. Oh, look, we're only a minute in, folks. I've taken 20 minutes, damn near 20 minutes, making fun of the opening. I'm telling you, this is why you guys are watching, though. I know. You guys watch me for my absolute witty comebacks and my wit. I already said that. Let me give a quick shout out to my members. You know what I mean? Shout out to all the members, ladies and gentlemen. Farquad, Some Dumb. You guys are what make the channel possible. Anyways.
A lot of the blame at the fact that because he opens with the splash screen saying, in a time of apparent magic.
Oh! Apparent magic? Apparent magic. The Odyssey wasn't real. It never happened. Apparent magic. Okay. Instantly ruined. Arch believes in magic, guys. That's what's kind of implicit in this. Right? Am I wrong? Like, he believes in magic. Which, hey, so do I. But, I'm not telling people how to live out here, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't telling people how to live. Anyways.
And then we're introduced to fucking Cyclops and Skillers and eternal whirlpools and gods and shit. And it felt...
He really has a problem with apparent, guys. He said, how dare you say apparent magic? Fucking loser. Christopher Nolan. Fucking sucks.
Like, when Christopher Nolan sat down to write this, he was like, well, I want to have a grounded version of the Odyssey. And then eventually he had to introduce the magical elements, and he just kind of forgot to write out that part.
What? What? How the fuck a grounded version of the Odyssey? No, the Cyclopses and they're all pretty fucking central to the plot, sir. This may shock you. But yes, they are very central to the plot, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Hard to believe, right?
Yeah, they did the same sort of thing in Troy 2004, didn't they? Where it's like we're essentially going to make like a kind of secular historical version. It's like
Secular. You mean devil worshipping?
all right, but the gods were kind of important back then, you know. They're kind of key to the story.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my one judgment with Troy, is that there was no involvement with the gods at all. And honestly, when I was sitting and thinking about
You fucking... What's the name? What's the name here? I'm looking for a word. I'm looking for a word. Polytheist! You're a polytheist! You devil worshippers! You devil worshippers! Oh my god. They're hiding, literally, they're hiding right under our noses! They worship the devil. The devil!
it, I think he just kind of wrote in Athena just to give Zendaya a role, because
Yeah, Athena was never in the story. Athena never was in the story of the Odyssey, was she?
there's no other gods involved. It was just
Can she, like, engage with the conversation? Like, is she, like... Can she engage?
Zendaya as Odysseus's PTSD manifestation of guilt and whatever.
Well, I mean, I guess you could debate whether or not she even was a god, because, okay, the
Athena? Hold on, don't tell me you're saying this. You could debate if Athena was a god. Really?
the movie's entire, like, kind of end plot point is divided into two things. One, strangers are bad and we should kill them, which, interesting idea, I admit. And this idea of the Bronze Age collapsing. He literally said, our age of bronze is coming to an end. And
it's so bad, isn't it?
Oh, the Bronze Age collapse. That's kind of fucking dope, bro. See, this is why we need to watch it. Honestly, though, I need to, They have some more... Hold on. They do have some more video... Arch has more videos about this. Like, in this series. Hold on. It's gonna be like... Oh my, I forgot. We'll just go to live. Ah, fuck, I forgot. That one's bad too. Just ignore it. Ignore it. Ignore it. Metatron? The fuck is Metatron? The fuck is Metatron? Oh my god, they're reacting to oh my... Okay, this is good. Okay, this is good. No girls, because girls are icky. No girls, because girls are very icky. Yeah, Norwegian, but likes to LARP as English. Hello? Dude, this is so awkward. They're not talking at all. They're just like, what are you doing, Arch? They're uncharismatic. That's their issue. They are very uncharismatic. The opposite of the ultimate gentleman. Ew, bro, you can hear them talking. I personally hate. Like, if this is going on, just mute your mic.
Greetings and
Dude, it sucks. His voice fucking sucks, bro. Oh my god.
salutations, friends, and welcome back to Stamford Bridge once more.
Hello.
Thank you.
We are going to watch a funny video today because we had to suffer through communism last week.
Communism! That's such a fake laugh. God, they're so, like, fake. They're so fake!
Quite a lot of communism. And we have been recommended this video, Skyrim, but it's a modern game a couple times.
Oh,
and
God.
Oh, God. What a not Skyrim modern game. I don't like Skyrim in modern game. No, I don't. That's gonna be this entire video. Remember, we've seen Asmon react to this as well, if you guys have forgot. Oh, man, this is a stupid video, too. Like, it's very cringe. But I'm going to make you guys sit through it because I am evil, actually. I am actually evil, yeah. The devil himself, believe it or not.
Okay.
it was kind of funny because Skyrim obviously.
Sorry. Sorry.
Obviously has become an absolute meme for being resold 5 million times.
Really?
Yeah, and basically just being an Oblivion reskin.
Yeah.
In Oblivion? No fucking way did this idiot just say that. This dumb motherfucker just said Skyrim is an Oblivion reskin. Not the smartest man in the world. Not the smartest, I'll give you that. You're not the smartest man, Sargon. What is this fake game? Why is this fake gamer even trying to participate in this conversation? Can we just be honest? Fake gamer here has no right to be talking about video games. Arch, I know, is a real gamer. He has the gamer. He's got the gamer look.
Did you play Skyrim?
Yeah. I mean, there were certain things about Skyrim I liked. Like, I liked the way that the spell casting was on each hand. You know.
Yeah, that was really
so you
cool.
could have.
Was on each hand. I liked the way it was on each hand.
Yeah, it was one of the things I wanted from Oblivion, but it didn't do. But there was something less. Something less.
Something, I don't know. Come on, help me out here, Arch. I'm failing. Something less.
Magnetic about Skyrim.
Magnetic. There we go. It's like he was doing he was doing a quick time event, and he failed the max efficiency one, but he managed to get the mid-level.
Skyrim. I found actually Oblivion to be a more fun game overall.
And that's because I like fantasy video games. I think Oblivion isn't nearly as fun as Skyrim, personally. But hey, to each their own, bro. To each their own.
Although it's not like Skyrim isn't without its charm or anything, but I just found Oblivion far more entertaining. And I'd like to go back and have another game of Oblivion, but I don't really have that same feeling with Skyrim.
Okay, so are we playing the same Skyrim, sir? Are we playing the same Skyrim? I think Oblivion's a great fucking game, bro. Or Oblivion and Skyrim. I think they're both great. Weirdos, bro.
No, like there was something about Skyrim.
No!
I remember I played it for the first time, loved it, played it loads and loads and loads, adored it. I modded the hell out of it to try it out again a while ago. And I remember I was trying to play it and I was like, something is slightly off. And it suddenly kind of hit me in the middle of like a dungeon. It's like, all of this is just a video game. And I mean, that's a duh moment, but it's like, it was so sharp.
Yeah, for real. What? You just realized that? Holy, this guy isn't a gamer either. It's not just a video game, you piece of shit. How dare you say that about the sacred right of gaming? You need to take that back, asshole.
No. I got exactly the same thing with Warhammer Total.
Heretics! Heretics, bro. What a bunch of heretics. Why do they even feel... They shouldn't even feel the right to be talking about the holy... The holy, right. They shouldn't even feel comfortable, but they do. They use our culture, our creed, as a costume. No more. No more. We will make them rue the day that they decided to entrounce upon the gamers.
War. Like playing Rome Total War, Medieval Total War, and even Rome 2, I didn't get the this is just a video game moment. I actually felt
oh really? You thought you were a god in the sky. Okay. That's a little concerning, but oh well. That's interesting. He thought he was a god in the sky, actually. Well, I do have some bad news, sir. You are not a god in the sky. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the game.
I'm a guy in charge of an empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with Warhammer Total War, I just felt video game. Maybe it was too colorful or garish or whatever. I don't even know what it was, but it did not gel for me at all. And I was just like, yeah, not into it. I want.
Poor Arch. His heart is just breaking right now. What? You didn't like the Total War? Poor Arch. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
want it to be as well. You know, I really want it to be because I love Warhammer. So, you know, I thought of this is perfect. You know, it's so fucking perfect, but it just did not work for me at all.
Yeah, I don't even know what it
Yeah.
was.
What?
I don't even know, because I'd like to.
What? Arch, you're a betrayer. A betrayer to the Warhammer franchise. This is why Games Workshop doesn't like you, buddy. This is exactly why Games Workshop does not like you. I hope you know that, Arch. Exactly why. Not willing to defend Warhammer. Not willing to defend Warhammer. That's what this comes down to, Arch. You are a disgrace. An absolute disgrace. You guys all heard that. You weren't hearing wrong. No, you weren't hearing wrong. You heard him. If anybody ever has sympathies towards this fake Warhammer enjoyer, this fake hammerhead, that's what we all call ourselves, you know, right, guys? Don't. He took this for his own. He did this knowing damn well what the repercussions are. He knew damn well.
To go back and enjoy it at some time. Or maybe I'll try that new huge mod pack for Skyrim to see, but again, it was such a sharp and vivid motion.
Mod pack. That huge new mod pack. What would that be, Arch? Oh, right, yeah, that huge new mod pack, right, yeah, okay. What is it called again? Well. Oh, well. Not important. You guys know that huge new mod pack, right? You know, that big one. It's got a bunch of mods. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Everything just clicked in the wrong way.
Oh.
Yeah, so I did...
Kind of like your cock cage. I'm sorry. It was too good. I had to. You mean kind of like your cock cage? It's just they really are cocks, so I don't know. We're being silly today, guys, okay? You ever heard of the act of being silly? Well, that's what I'm doing.
Play Skyrim and Oblivion a bit not so long ago, and weirdly, I think the jank in Oblivion made it feel more real. Like it gave it a lot more character. Whereas Skyrim is really streamlined. Like it's a really, don't get me wrong, technically brilliant accomplishment, but the streamlined nature of it is just kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Like,
have these guys just not had any new talking points for the past, like, how many years has it been? Like 10 years? Have these guys never just had a new talking point? It's always been the same shit. They've been saying this about Skyrim for years. It's so weird.
It feels precision and mechanical, Whereas Oblivion felt very organic, and the jankiness is a part of it being organic, but it felt very charming and immersive because of it. Especially like the dialogue you'd have with characters. You see the characters having dialogue with each other, and it's like,
yeah, they didn't do that in Skyrim, right, guys? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, they fucking do. Oh my goodness. We're not even to the video, dude. These guys are impossible. Oh my god, these guys are impossible.
there's something about it that's very kind of like shit in retrospect, but it felt like its own thing.
He's describing the gay sex he had recently. Oh my god, I'm on fire today, ladies and gentlemen. I am on fire today. He's talking about the gay sex him and our Chad.
That makes sense.
Oh my god. Oh my god, you absolute demons.
Like, it. On the one hand, it doesn't. On the other hand, it does.
Yeah, I guess
that makes sense. On one hand, it is true, but on the other hand, it isn't. Okay. Yeah, I don't see how those could like conflict at all. Like a positive and a negative statement. Yeah, you're right. Those don't conflict. God, you're so smart, Arch. Arch and Sargon. Why do we even have geopolitics? Why don't we just let these guys run the world, right, guys? I mean, like, they seem to know what they're talking about. They seem to know what they're talking about. They seem to have it lock and key, folks.
maybe it's just I've become accustomed to the jank.
What's
right?
up, Glenn?
Perhaps.
And so it was like, okay, if Skyrim doesn't feel janky, I don't really feel like I'm playing Oblivion, right? Or like an Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, because like my first Elder Scrolls game was Morrowind, and
right.
that was a game that
I never
felt
played
so
Morrowind.
Incredibly alive.
I never played Morrowind. Why the fuck do you feel like you have the right to talk in this gamer space right now? Seriously. Why the fuck do these fucking LARPers feel like they have the gosh darn diggity right to talk about any video game, to be quite frank? What gives them the chutzpah? What the hell gives them the chutzpah?
Live. Like everything had character, despite everything being blocky and jank and all the characters looking idiotic, etc. And Oblivion was much the same, but slightly less for me. And then Skyrim was like all of that, but slightly less again.
Okay. So what he's saying is he didn't like it. He's like, it gets worse and worse over time. Very smart, Arch. God, what a smart guy. This is why the left is losing, ladies and gentlemen. It's because they have absolute geniuses like this.
Like,
Yeah.
everybody has
Yeah.
the
Definitely a
same
lack
story
of character.
when it
And
comes
what-
to.
what's-
Hang on.
Character.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right on the point of character, right?
What the fuck is that sound?
And what's really annoying is it's not that there aren't things in Skyrim that should have character. Like
Mhm.
one of the things I really liked about Skyrim was the mammoths and the giants, right?
Yeah.
Like it made perfect sense.
I like the mammoth and I like the giant. Oh, wow. Okay, Sargon. Fucking Nimrod. You like the big giants and the mammoth? Fucking Nimrod. Jeff, that's not good. I don't recommend you do that with your vape. But you know what? You do whatever makes you happy, brother. As long as it's not hurting other people, you do what makes you happy, man. That's what I say. Anyway, sorry.
Sense that the giants would have mammoths as pets or whatever, and that they were just standing around.
Yeah, that makes total sense, right? We all remember the stories, the historical stories, mind you. You guys know what I'm about. The historical stories of, oh, fuck. Of the mammoths with the giants. We all remember them. I know I sure do.
Around as a part of the scenery, basically, was great. I thought that was really good. But what could you really do with them?
Could kill them. Harvest their meat. They've got, they have little secret nooks and crannies that, like, the reason they're traveling around is from that place to the next. You know that, right? Maybe not, actually. Yeah, that's actually the reason. In case you were wondering. Oh, man, these guys are stupid.
The answer was not really that much.
Yeah, they were a scenic backdrop by and large.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I remember I used an
That's not even fair, bro. There's scenic backdrop that you can interact with, and actually there's quests to kill them, and there's quests to visit their little homes and stuff. But yeah, they're just a scenic backdrop. Such losers.
AI Skyrim mod in order to be able to sort of persuade the giants to come and follow you. And that was actually really.
That's a fucking child. They are talking. Okay, his stream alert is a fucking child. Somebody needs to call. What's the fucking Norwegian version of the FBI? Holy shit. It's a fucking child. What is wrong with this man? Dude, we need to check his hard drives. Seriously, guys. I'm being serious. That is so fucking weird.
Be fun. So now I had a giant companion, and I could do something with the giant. Brilliant. It was really, really, really good. But outside of that mod, which you had to pay money to get the AI for, obviously, so it costs processing power. Outside of that,
Ew, bro, stop. Jeff is MAGA? Yeah, I assumed. Don't worry. Ew, bro. This is so fucking weird. Literal fucking child's voice here. Why the fuck? Arch, dude, I really do think this guy, we need to check his hard drives. We gotta check his hard drives, dude. There's something wrong with this weirdo. Holy shit. There is something wrong with this dude. Children, bro. So weird.
There was just nothing very interesting about them other than they're a big thing to kill. And it's like, yeah, there's a wasted opportunity.
Yes, like the Giants feel like they should have a civilization, a story.
They do.
Yeah, and even not...
They do, sir. They do. You're just too fucking stupid to look for it, but they do. They have an entire story. Come from Atmora. You're just too stupid. They didn't feed it to you like with a giant spoon, so you're like, where's the fucking story? Well, dipshit, you would see it, but unfortunately, you smell bad, and your stink is offensive to the eyes and ears of regular folk. And so what happens is people just don't listen to you. And I don't blame them. Okay? I don't blame them. Not one bit, actually. Not one bit!
Necessarily a civilization, but just some more interaction.
Bro, this fucking weird ass. That's such a child, bro. Like, that is obviously a child. Why are you okay with that, Arch? Why is that something that's like your central sound? So fucking weird, bro.
With the world, right? They just stand around on the plains and do nothing. It's like, but they could do something. Like, you know, can't I lead a giant...
They could do something. Whoa. You know what, Sargon? Now that you mention it, I never actually thought about that. Yeah, they could do something. You're right. What could they do? No idea. They, but could do something. Could do something.
An insurrection or something, or...
A giant insurrection, bro? This is why these guys are not fucking game developers. That sounds so fucking lame. Compared to, like, the story that's being told. That just sounds so fucking boring. But again, they don't a lot of this they don't actually, like, believe. They're just saying random shit because they know their base will eat it up like it's a goddamn meal. They'll eat it up, folks. Which is fine.
You know, is there not just a sudden giant attack on a village? I mean, there might be a quest where that does happen, actually. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, I expect
there might
more
be
out of the giants than just cool scenery.
He expected more out of the Giants. He expected more out of the Giants. And he didn't get it, folks. He expected more and did not get it.
Yes. And now part of this too is slightly unfair to the game because there's a first time experience of everything. One of the first and biggest thing I remember about Morrowind is I was continuously surprised by the things I could do. Like
I could be racist, and I was very happy about that. I could be racist, and I was very happy about that. Very happy indeed.
You turn into a vampire. There's a whole quest line for that. Okay. The Fighters Guild, whole quest line. Mage Guild, whole quest. Everything had stuff. And in Oblivion...
Stuff! That's what I remember about Morrowind. Yep. Everything had stuff. It's actually not something I remember about Morrowind, but... who knows?
The same thing, kind of, like you kill a person, the whole Dark Brotherhood questline was amazing.
Oh, there's those, like becoming a vampire and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that had full like quest lines and guilds.
Yeah.
And like it
Yeah, but so does Skyrim.
kind of petered off. And like in Skyrim too, there's like everything just feels kind of lesser. And the things that are there feel almost like they need to be there. I don't know.
No, I totally...
Bro, what? Dude, this is just like the most mealy-mouth bullshit critique I've ever... Oh, they feel like they need to be there. Yeah, dude, what? What? Dude, I feel like we're in... Are we in Upside Down world? Are we in the Upside Down?
To get you, there's a lack of being fleshed out in it that is hard to describe, but it's definitely there.
A feeling of organic spontaneity, like where you discover something and you go like, "Oh hell, I wasn't expecting that."
Yeah.
Oh hell. I mean, hey, they've got that in Skyrim. Not as much, I will say. Skyrim's exploration and Morrowind's exploration and gameplay, it is a lot Skyrim is more watered down. But I will say that it is still a very good game in my opinion. A lot of people have shit on it in recent years just because they think that they're like Bethesda re-releasing it a lot and stuff like that is bad taste, but even the original Skyrim is a fun game, guys. Even without the mods. Even without the mods, folks.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to do this in Oblivion all the time, and same with Fallout 3 as well, and Fallout 1 and 2, but different kind of game. Just wander off into the wild blue yonder and see what you find.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh look, I found a ruin. Oh my god, this thing's way above. And one of the things I always hated with Oblivion is the level scaling.
Yes.
Fucking pissed me off, man. I hate level scaling so much.
I hate it when the game stays hard and consistent throughout the entire game. Fucking sucks. You know, I think level scaling, it really just depends on the game. I don't think level scaling is bad all the time, but I do feel like it is not done well pretty often. But I don't really have much of an issue with level scaling.
These bandits have glass weapons. What? How the fuck? For anyone who doesn't know, glass weapons are the best weapons in the game, basically.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, okay, I understand how this makes gameplay sense, but it makes no sense in any other way.
But it also means, what's the point of me even...
Bro, do these motherfuckers not know? Bro! Do these people not know? No way. Do they not know glass is an actual... It's malachite, I believe is what it's called. Glass isn't just... It's not glass, you dumb fuck. It's not actually real glass.
Leveling up.
Yeah, it means it's utterly irrelevant.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, enough waffling about memories, about Skyrim and Oblivion, everything, I guess.
Yeah, let's carry on.
So
Yeah, let's carry on. I like the leveling in Oblivion more than Skyrim. I do like... Which one's my favorite between the two? I like leveling in Fallout. Boom.
the title of this is Skyrim, but it's a modern game.
All right, so we're getting to the meat and potatoes, ladies and gentlemen. The meat and potatoes here, okay? This is what we've been looking for. This is what we've been waiting for, folks.
I have some sneaking suspicions
Just
already.
before we start, by the way, Skyrim is definitely better than basically all other modern games now.
Oh god, yes.
Like we're being critical of Skyrim. I still played it a lot, you know.
Backlash.
Another problem that Skyrim had,
Waffle alert.
Completely characteristic of Bethesda games like Fallout 4.
Waffle alert.
We're going to give you the end game content
Waffle
right at the beginning. It's like, why am I fighting a dragon and slaying a dragon in the first proper quest of the game? Why am I wearing power armor in the first and fighting a Deathclaw in the first quest of the game? And you can tell that it was done by a committee at bloody Bethesda, where they're like, well, you know, market research shows that only 17% of players actually went and killed the Deathclaw. You know, therefore, we need to put that right at the game so people are aware, and that keeps them in. So we'll just give them a
No, oh my god, they're so cynical about everything, bro. No, that's not the fucking reason. They had you fight a Deathclaw because they thought it would be fun. They thought it would be fun for you to fight a Deathclaw, bro. It's not because they fucking had a committee. No. They didn't have you fight a Deathclaw because the fucking wokey board made them. They had you fight a Deathclaw because it's fun.
small taste of using a minigun and a power armor and a Deathclaw. It's like, no. That fucking ruins it for me. You know, it feels contrived, if nothing else.
Okay. The epic opening of Fallout 4 feels contrived, ladies and gentlemen. What the fuck does that mean? Contrived.
And this was also, by the way, basically laziness, where they're like, okay, we need a demo for the game where we have a brief period to show people everything that's in the game, ending with a climactic boss battle to get people hankering for more. And they just never cut that out. They're just like, oh, yeah, just leave that in.
Yeah, I don't want that. I mean, it's fine if I'm chased by a Deathclaw and I have to run away, or chased by a dragon and I have to run away. I shouldn't be killing it at the very beginning of the game.
Why? Why? Just because you think that's a bad narrative structure? Why is it a bad narrative structure? I think it's pretty good. It shows that you are able to conquer the evil that's in our land without being desperate, right? It doesn't create an atmosphere of desperation. It creates an atmosphere of hope. That's why these guys don't like it. But seriously, like, I like big boss battles at the very beginning. Maybe I'm alone in that, but I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, like Bethesda, did you see recently, by the way, it came out that after Fallout New Vegas launched, apparently Bethesda sat the developers down and ran them through a PowerPoint presentation of everything they got wrong.
No, I didn't see that.
Whoa!
Like, ritualized humiliation, because apparently Bethesda
That's what Arch calls it when he doesn't have a wife, so can't really say that. Never mind.
has just never gotten over the fact that some random studio made a better Fallout game than they did.
I did hear that though. I heard that Bethesda have been salty for many, many years towards what was the name of the studio who made it?
Obsidian, I think.
Obsidian, yeah, that's
God,
it. Yeah,
they're such fake
heard...
gamers. Obsidian, I think it was. Yeah, no shit, you fucking scumbag. All right, I'm gonna take a dab, and then we'll probably move on to some actual news.
They've been salty about that for a long time.
Yeah, it was like part of me gets it because it's professional jealousy, and you see this so much in Total War. Oh my god, where Creative Assembly just hates the modding community for upstaging them at every fucking turn.
And Creative Assembly, if you don't want the modding community to upstage you, you've got a couple of options actually. One, right? Because I very clearly remember the launch of Rome 2. Holy fuck, do I remember the launch of Rome 2? Like literally in 2013. I remember the laptop I was playing in. At the time, my wife was my girlfriend. I was at her house, sitting on the sofa, just in awe of how shit this fucking game was, right? Absolutely shit. Like, the blobbing was just the worst fucking thing in the world. Couldn't understand it. What the fuck is happening, right? It took a decade for you and the modding community primarily to save that game. It took a decade. Rome 2 is good now. Get the DEI mod, and they've put in loads of patches and stuff, and it's actually a really fucking playable game now. But fuck me, man, you know. And if you're having these problems, just hire the modders. Hire the modders.
I vividly remember watching a line.
All right, yeah, this is fucking Attack of the Nerds, ladies and gentlemen. Attack of the Nerds. Anyways, let's watch this morning's top headlines, and then I'll probably skadoot.
Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Friday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. We begin this hour with a new escalation in President Trump's global trade war. At midnight, new tariffs went into effect. They range from 10 to 12.5%, and they target 60 countries. That includes key trading partners like the European Union and China. They're replacing the president's temporary 10% levy, which expired overnight.
It great? Isn't it great that he's basically just ignoring the Supreme Court? We love that. Like, I understand he does it through a different method, but it's ignoring the spirit. It's ignoring the spirit.
What's the Trump administration's rationale for imposing these new duties, especially after the Supreme Court struck down the president's most sweeping tariff strategy earlier this year? Well, this time the White House is saying the tariffs are meant to punish countries for lax enforcement of forced labor laws. But most of the trading partners, well, they strongly reject that accusation. In a few moments, we'll speak with Investopedia's editor-in-chief and chief business editor of People Inc., Caleb Silver. First, let's bring in NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr. Alice, good morning. So tell us, how do these new tariffs work? Why do some countries get 10%, others 12.5%?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. The Trump administration is using a different justification for these tariffs under a section of the 1974 Trade Act because, as you just laid out, the Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration could not use that Emergency Powers Act they had last relied on, that overstepped the president's authority. So a U.S. Trade Representative fact sheet is now laying out that trading partners that they say have made commitments to adopt and effectively enforce forced labor import prohibitions will have that 10% tariff, while those that failed to do so will have the 12.5% tariff rate. So that's the difference as they're framing it, of course, over very loud objections.
So kind of, recapping this, the Trump administration trying to justify this by arguing these places failed to impose and enforce bans on goods made with forced labor. As we mentioned, most of these trading partners dispute that allegation. How did the U.S. come to this conclusion? Can we expect any sort of retaliation from these countries?
Yeah, the U.S. Trade Representative's office said that it spent months investigating these other countries' trade practices and found that these 60 trading partners were not measuring up. The investigation began in mid-March. That's not long after the Supreme Court ruling that sent the administration looking for other tariff options.
Isn't that like so sad? They're using the law to influence their trade agenda. Like, that is so blatantly corrupt and just obvious to anyone. You know, and this is something else. Corruption really does cost us so much money in America. And the Trump officials are and the base is totally fine with all of this blatant corruption. They don't even think about it, bro. That's what's insane. They don't even think about it. It's fucking insane.
Yes, the countries are pushing back. The European Union's foreign policy chief said that the EU has stronger labor laws than in the U.S. As for retaliation, Brazil is among those facing a 12.5% tariff, which it called arbitrary and unjustified, and said in a statement it's moving toward retaliatory tariffs against the U.S. and also filing a legal complaint with the World Trade Organization.
So, Alice, amid the backdrop of the Iran war and these soaring fuel prices we've been seeing, there are some exemptions to these tariffs, right? Walk us through those.
Yeah, there are key exceptions on fertilizers and on oil and gas. Those products we know have been particularly hard hit by the choke point in the Strait of Hormuz throughout the war with Iran, and we have seen the effects of rising oil and gas prices and the challenges farmers have faced on fertilizer with the trickle-down impacts on food prices. Some foods are also exempted, with the fact sheet citing those that cannot be grown or produced in sufficient quantities in the U.S. or gotten elsewhere. Autos, metals, and pharmaceuticals also exempt, and President Trump announced separately this week that all generic drugs being brought into the U.S. will continue to be tariff-free for 2 years.
So, Alice, just what does this tell us about how the president's tariff policy is evolving, especially in the wake of that big Supreme Court decision? Are there any other methods we could expect in the coming months?
Yeah, so again, we know the administration has been searching around for alternative methods to levy tariffs since the Supreme Court rulings. President Trump has frequently said tariffs are essential to his economic policy, pointing to the money they bring in for the federal government, even though, remember, it's American companies bearing the brunt of those costs on the goods and materials they import, and then in some cases passing them down to consumers. And if we see prices rise further on the backs of these tariffs, that's going to be tough for Republicans to swallow heading into the midterms when prices are the central issue. But tariffs are also a huge part of President Trump's foreign policy and how he negotiates with other countries to get what he wants for the United States, something that he does not want to give up power and control over.
All right, Alice Barr in Washington.
Which, again, these tariffs are illegal. They are not, there's no justification for them. But Donald Trump doesn't care, guys. Unfortunately, he would much rather everybody pay a shit ton of money and suffer rather than just taking an L on the tariffs and doing something else. So lame. What a lame dude, right? Like, we just agree. What a lame stinker.
Alice, thank you so much. Let's get some analysis now with our Caleb Silver. So when it comes to just the economic impact of these, is this basically just a continuation of what expired at midnight? Is it same old, same old?
In a way, 10 to 12.5% is not that big of a jump. But if you're a small business and you're importing $10 million worth of imported goods, that 2.5% means a lot. But if you're a consumer thinking about a bottle of wine that was $25, that's now $26.50, not a huge deal. So not a huge deal in terms of consumer prices, but the overall impact is higher prices. You add that to higher energy prices continue to rise, now escalating because of the renewed conflict in the Strait of Hormuz, then you just have higher prices all around. And as Al has mentioned, a lot of these prices are passed on to the consumer. About 60% of them hit our wallets.
Yeah, and I want to ask about that because obviously it's unclear right now if other countries are going to retaliate. That could escalate the price tag on all of these things. But right now, from a consumer perspective, will we see many dramatic price changes in what we pay for goods?
You won't. You'll see them in things like apparel. You'll see them in things like electronics. But the price increase won't be that significant based on what we've already seen. So I wouldn't expect to see a huge jump in inflation across those types of consumer goods. But the overall impact of this is higher prices, and higher prices mean inflation for everyone, and what matters next to the Federal Reserve, which is going to be looking at interest rates very soon.
We'll talk about that in a moment. First, let's talk about the market reaction. I know yesterday, not a good day on Wall Street. Is that because of the tariff issues, or is that still mostly focused on what's happening in Iran?
It's because of fake news, guys.
Yes, that has everything to do with oil prices. You get Brent crude prices at $100 a barrel. That's very difficult to pass through the supply chain and not have an impact there. So you have that going on. Plus, you have earnings season right now. We're hearing from the big tech companies. Everyone wants to hear about more and more spending on AI. We didn't hear that much good news last night. That's why you had a big sell-off yesterday. Today, markets reacting a little bit better, bouncing back a little bit. Sometimes you see this where investors sort of sell the rumor, buy the news. That's kind of what we're seeing today. We knew this was coming. It's not as bad as a lot of people thought. Markets reacting in kind.
You mentioned the Federal Reserve, which meets in?
Yeah, 5 days, 6 hours, and 52 minutes. I'm not counting, you're counting, but they're probably not going to touch interest rates because they don't know how long these higher energy prices are going to stay in place. But I would look out to September 16th. That's the next meeting after this one. Right now, there's a 58% chance, if you look at the CME FedWatch tool, that the Fed will have to raise rates to combat inflation. A raise in interest rates right now could be very punishing for Americans who are dealing with high interest rates and dealing with high inflation.
But the main argument for that would be?
Got to control inflation, and that's one way to do it.
All right, Caleb Silver, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. President Trump is threatening to intensify the military strikes against Iran. Newly released video from Central Command reports to show the U.S. striking communication networks and storage
Let's go, guys. We absolutely love being at war, don't we? Don't we? Yeah, that's what I thought. We love being at war.
Now Iranian allies are targeting ships in the Red Sea, and that is sending those gas prices higher here at home. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel.
Yeah, that's only because of the woke media. The woke media lied about the gas prices, so we have to change them, actually. God, they have so much power over us. Thank God someone like Donald Trump exists. He's able to fight the woke media. He's able to fight the woke media.
Iran is intensifying and expanding as President Trump says major combat operations.
Drop everything. Mr. Beat responded to me.
We have a new tallest politician in history, and nobody seems to be talking about this. Meet Greg Ostertag. If you're a basketball fan, you might know him as the former NBA center who used to play for the Utah Jazz. And of course, I watched him as a kid playing for my Kansas Jayhawks. He helped them reach the Final Four back in 1993. But jump ahead to 2026, and voters in Mount Vernon, Texas, chose Ostertag as their next mayor. When folks started asking him to run, he initially resisted, saying,
"No, I hate politicians."
But how does he feel about uncapping the House? That's the real question. Whoa, Mr. Beat responded to you.
Could resume soon.
We want to get it over with.
Let's go.
We want to do it right.
Our homie Bill getting recognition out here.
For the 12th straight day, the U.S. attacked Iranian military sites. U.S. Central Command released footage of the operations, while Iran says civilian locations are being hit as well. CENTCOM also put out an edited
Go
video
woke, go
set
broke.
to
Very true.
Music,
Very
showing
true.
Its newly reimposed naval blockade of Iranian ports. Iran has responded to every American attack with missile and drone strikes on U.S. bases and American troops in the Middle East.
Mr. Beat responds to me pretty frequently in my dreams.
And now one of Iran's allies has opened a second front, widening the war
That one was good.
markets. For 5 months, the U.S. and Iran have battled for control of the Strait of Hormuz, passageway for 20% of the world's oil and gas.
Open the fucking strait. Open the fucking strait, motherfucker. Open the fucking strait. Isn't it great that our very own president said that? Sometimes it just brings a tear to your eye. You know? Such beautiful words said by such a gracious man.
In Yemen, an Iranian-backed militia say they attacked 2 Saudi ships in the Red Sea to the west. 12% of all global trade passes through the Red Sea. International oil prices jumped to over $100 a barrel for the first time since May. President Trump told Axios and Israeli media he's considering a massive attack on Iran, bigger than ever before, because Iran hasn't received enough pain yet. But the president is also facing more political challenges. 4 Republicans in the House of Representatives joining Democrats in a symbolic vote to direct the president to remove armed forces from hostilities with Iran.
Not the
Israeli
demon
government
rats.
is preparing for an escalation. The government today opening shelters to the public in several cities, and Israel's defense minister said that if Iran attacks Israel, it will receive a devastating blow.
All right, Richard, thank you. There is a major development in the legal battle between the Department of Justice and New York Times. The DOJ has now agreed to withdraw its subpoenas of reporters from the Times. Those subpoenas were issued after the journalists reported on security concerns with the new Air Force One. The whole situation has raised concerns about the First Amendment, with the newspaper promising to fight back. For more, let's bring in NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach in Washington. Gary, good morning. Before we get to that story, I want to talk about something we just heard there from Richard Engel. That was the 4 Republicans in the House joining Democrats yesterday in a symbolic vote to direct the president, remove troops from the war with Iran. Who were those 4 Republicans? Where could things go from here?
Yeah, Joe, if you feel like we've had this conversation before, it's because we have. There have been 13 votes in the United States Senate for this, 5 different votes in the United States House for this. And in the House yesterday, 4 Republicans joined all the Democrats in voting for the measure. They were Congressman Massey, Congressman Barrett of Ohio, who is a retired Army officer, Congressman Davidson, who is a retired military officer, and Congressman Fitzpatrick, who's a former intel officer. So all these folks having some sort of military background is certainly an interesting thing here. The Senate also voted on a war powers resolution yesterday. It failed for the 11th time.
All right, let's get to the New York Times case. The Justice Department now withdrawing those subpoenas of journalists over their reporting about Air Force One. Gary, why did the government change course here? Does this mean the matter is over? Where do things go now?
Well, it's all because a federal judge really questioned them really hard yesterday in court in New York City about why they jumped to subpoenas. Subpoenas are a very aggressive investigatory tactic. There's a whole lot of things the Department of Justice could have done before subpoenaing journalists, and the judge really dialed in on that and said, you know, this is a serious First Amendment issue. There are serious chilling factors for the reporters themselves that need to be considered here. And the judge was clear this record is replete with bad faith, he said. And one other issue was the sloppiness that appeared from the prosecutors at the Department of Justice. They obtained phone records of family members of the reporters because they were just looking in a public database for phone numbers and got the wrong ones. Joe?
Gary, finally, the Supreme Court may not be in session right now, but Justice Elena Kagan is making some headlines for comments she made about the court's role yesterday. She was at a talk in Washington State. What did she say?
Yes, she's pushing back on the idea that the Supreme Court, even though it is a 6-3 ideologically conservative majority, is a rubber stamp for Donald Trump. She pointed to some of the biggest decisions of the entire term this past year, including on tariffs and on birthright citizenship, where the court ruled against Donald Trump and ruled in favor of the plaintiffs in those cases. Kagan's comments, though, come as the trust in the Supreme Court is at historic lows, and we've seen that because of some of the emergency orders that get put across the Supreme Court's desk without any full explanation as to why they're making the decisions they are. Joe?
Amen.
Gary Grumbach in Washington. Gary, thank you so much. A new controversy is brewing at the Secret Service. An agent on Vice President J.D. Vance's detail has been removed and is under investigation over allegations of putting the VP's security at risk. NBC News Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell has more.
A Secret Service agent has been removed from the protective detail around Vice President J.D. Vance. Officials said a review is underway, writing, "Any conduct that potentially threatens the safety of a protectee will not be tolerated." A source familiar with the investigation says it follows a report by MS Now, describing some agents as fed up with last-minute travel and changing schedules. One issue involved a helicopter trip where Vance planned to take his son.
You guys ever listen to Ghostman? It's a good song by Ghostman. You guys should look it up. It's called Fed Up. It's pretty cool, actually. He's like, fed up, I'm fed up. It's pretty cool. I won't lie. Shout out to Ghostman.
To a golf lesson at Joint Base Andrews. Bad weather scrubbed the flight. An administration official says use of Marine 2 by Vance and his young family is done for operational security and can reduce manpower and road closures required for motorcades. All while the threat environment is alarmingly high. The Secret Service has more than 10,000 threat investigations since January, up 40% over this time last year.
They're off the charts. I think the environment has become very volatile, and that's just across the board.
Threats that include a would-be assassin breaching a checkpoint, gunfire setting off chaos at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in April. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News.
And now the focus
Dude, a lot
does
of people
shift to
think
tonight's
that's fake.
rescheduled
Isn't
White
that
House
funny?
Correspondents' Dinner, where President Trump is expected
I don't
to
think
speak,
it's
as Kelly
fake.
just referenced in her report there. The original event was cut short back in April when a gunman ran through that security checkpoint. That man fired at an officer, but then was quickly subdued by authorities.
But some
Leaders
people
at the
did.
Secret Service say they are prepared
It's
for tonight's
it's
event,
very
which will be held
fitting
at
of
a
the type
different
of like
Washington hotel with a
atmosphere
smaller
Donald
ballroom.
Trump and
This
his
event will
base
also
have
feature
created.
fewer guests. We have exclusive new reporting on growing tensions between the White House and the Department of Homeland Security. Two senior officials tell NBC News that some Trump administration leaders seem to be dissatisfied with Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen after a couple public missteps. The most recent incident happened last week. Mullen told ICE agents to pause vehicle stops when pursuing immigrants. That was after two deadly officer-involved shootings during pursuits, one in Texas, one in Maine. President Trump reversed that policy the very next day. This dispute comes as the Trump administration is once again trying to ramp up its mass deportation efforts. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins me now with more on her exclusive reporting. Julia, good morning. Mullen's only been on the job, 4 months now? So tell us more about what your sources are saying about these tensions.
Well, at this stage, it really seems to be kind of an annoyance, something that's been noted by officials within the Trump administration, that especially that incident that you just named from last week, that was not run by the president, which is why Trump quickly reversed that vehicle stop policy, saying that ICE officers could stop people in vehicles even after those two deadly shootings, because Mullen hadn't run that by anyone at the White House. And as this presidency has shown one thing, it's very centralized. No one can do anything without running it by the White House, by the president's chief of staff, and ultimately by the president himself. And so that was seen as a misstep. It also comes after a few other things that have caught the eye of the White House, including when the Supreme Court handed the Trump administration a win by saying that they could revoke the temporary protected status of people from Haiti and Syria. And he came out and said that those people could then just apply to have legal status in the United States, and that was incorrect. The other thing is that he really threw his weight behind a man named Lance Schroyer, who is the nominee to be the new ICE director. And his nomination has still not been scheduled. As we understand it, he's been at DHS headquarters and people have tried to bring him up to speed on immigration policy because he was an Oklahoma State trooper, someone who's referred to internally as Mullen's guy. And so Trump did support him to be the nominee for ICE. But if he's not ready for that nomination hearing, that could also end up backfiring on Mullen.
So is there any indication at all that President Trump might fire or replace Mullen so early into his tenure here?
You know, I've been thinking about that. I've covered a lot of DHS secretaries being replaced. There were 4 in the first Trump administration, and then, of course, most notably, Kristi Noem earlier this year. It doesn't seem that the tea leaves are at that place yet when I'm looking into signs that he might be looking to replace him. Mullen is still being invited, for example, tonight to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think he's very much still in his job at the moment, but I just think there's some notable tension there, really, and it shows what happens when someone comes in to this job that is such high pressure. When the president has campaigned on mass deportations, his key immigration promises, he wants to keep those numbers high, but he wants to stay out of the headlines. Mullen already had a very thin needle to thread here, and it's a hard job to be in, and I think it's easy to make some of these missteps.
Well, let's talk about those numbers, because amid all this, the Trump administration is still trying to ramp up these mass deportation efforts. The newly released data shows that ICE made tens of thousands of arrests just in June alone. Walk us through some of the new numbers and just what it says about the president's current strategy.
That's right. Well, the numbers really started to ramp up in June, and we're seeing it with more public arrest out in the field. People are seeing this in their communities. I know we've seen very public arrests during the morning rush hour in Washington, D.C. this week. And of course, we saw that very visibly with the videos of the aftermath of the 2 fatal shootings in Houston and Maine. And now we have the numbers to understand what has been happening nationwide. In June, there were nearly 40,000 arrests. That's a significant increase, coming in at about 1,300 a day on average, and that's also increased the number of immigrants in detention, now over 65,000. Now, they don't have the space for that many people, so it's meaning a lot of overcrowding, and oftentimes people are being held while they're still pursuing asylum claims and other routes that could allow them to stay in the United States without being deported. But the Trump administration has really redefined what the criteria is to be held and arrested.
Which begs the question, is this pace sustainable?
Well, if you talk to a lot of ICE agents and officers in the field, it's not sustainable. Many of them say that it's that pressure to get the numbers up, not being able to take any time off when they need it, working 7 days a week. Many of them point to that and the new officers who have been put on the beat very quickly without as much training as previous officers as some of the reasons for these fatal shootings. They say that they need more training and more time off.
Julia Ainsley sharing her latest reporting. Julia, thank you so much. Tensions are mounting in Madison, Wisconsin after a man was shot by police earlier this week. The victim has now been identified as Corey Ruiz. Police say the case is now an open and active homicide investigation. Many in the community are demanding answers, asking why the officers used deadly force. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster has the latest from the scene.
New video capturing the deadly confrontation between Madison, Wisconsin police and Corey Ruiz.
Oh, shit.
Captured on camera in Madison, Wisconsin. A police officer fatally shooting the 38-year-old who investigators say was armed with a knife.
This is an open and active homicide investigation right now.
The scene sparking outrage even at a press conference with city leaders. Multiple videos capturing the incident from different angles. The scuffle appearing to begin here when police say Ruiz falls or is taken off his bike by an officer. Authorities were responding to a report of an individual checking car doors Wednesday afternoon, they say, when the man initially fled. Watch as police appear to struggle with him. They say Ruiz pulled out a knife and injured one officer. Authorities say a taser was deployed, but it was not successful. Then 3 shots are heard.
I mean, if they hit somebody... Okay, yeah, if they sustained injuries, then sorry, but like I do think they probably have full right to shoot them. Like, yeah, I mean, they sustained injuries, dude. That's kind of important.
What was the same officer that fired the shots?
Public records show Ruiz had at least 40 criminal convictions, including several for resisting or obstructing law enforcement.
Yeah,
you should not lose your life as a result of an encounter with law enforcement.
The shooting.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is astroturfed. No fucking way is this real. The dude had a fucking knife and like in a huge rap sheet. was checking car doors earlier. What am I wrong? Like, should I be like, oh no? Like, bro, you attacked one of the officers with a knife. What are we doing here? Oh no.
Leading to a night of demonstrations. Protesters here interrupting an outdoor concert at the state capitol. Jasmine Brown says she knew Ruiz personally.
You've known him for 20 years. What was lost in that shooting?
I mean, a father, a son, a friend, a loved one, and he's gone.
Meanwhile, the police chief saying that there are more videos that the public has not seen at this point, and saying that does not include body.
Just based on the fucking circumstance, he cut somebody with a knife, bro. What are they supposed to do at that point? At that point, that is an individual that is threatening the lives of officers. Like, what am I missing something? I feel like I'm missing something, and I shouldn't be. I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something.
Camera video from the officer saying that his officers are not deployed with body-worn cameras, though suggesting that's something that he wants to change in the future. Back to you.
All right, Shaq, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News law enforcement analyst Jim Kavanaugh. Jim, good to have you with us. Based on what we know so far, what are the biggest questions investigators are going to have to answer to determine whether deadly force was justified here?
Joe, the seminal question, and really the only question, is were the officers in imminent threat of great bodily harm or death? If that's the case, then the use of deadly force by the police is justified. It's really the only question. Past criminal record doesn't even matter. The question is this: were the officers under imminent threat of great bodily harm or death?
I think if they cut somebody earlier, it's going to be really hard to argue that it wasn't at the very, like, this is not, these are not the people that, I feel like a lot of the anti-ICE is spilling over into this. And I had, be careful with that. Because that is dangerous. We need to remember, local PDs are much more likely to handle cases properly than the federal government. In terms of, like, small-time cases and, like, ICE and stuff. Now, in terms of, like, investigatory ability, I'd say the federal, the FBI is unmatched. But, we're getting absolutely destroyed.
If so, then deadly force is justified. That's the question the Department of Criminal Investigation will look at, what the district attorney will look at, any grand jury. That's what has to be determined.
So, Jim, at the center of that question, then, is police saying that Ruiz pulled out a knife during the confrontation with officers. From a law enforcement perspective, what can you tell us about how officers are generally trained to handle a situation like that?
Well, a butcher knife that size that the officer was cut with, I mean, one slash of that, one plunge of that, and you're dead. Yeah. You can't end up in a tie. He's dead and you're dead. That's not what you want if you're the officer. And I think people have, angst over this because Mr. Ruiz is on his side with officers over him, but there's an officer bending over backwards over him. Could he have plunged a knife into the officer's throat that fast? Is that an imminent threat? Could he have slashed the thigh of an officer and cut his ephemeral artery? Is that imminent threat of death or great bodily harm? So it has to be that before the officer can deploy deadly force. And clearly that knife will kill you quickly. and even a slash or a plunge, and he still had control of it. If you watch that video through, you'll see the officer who's behind him does take the butcher knife out from in front of him and drop it on the street. So clearly he had it and had control over it. So that'll be the seminal question, Joe.
All right, Jim Kavanaugh, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. This morning, the remnants of Tropical Storm Bertha are moving across Texas. The National Hurricane Center says the storm made its final landfall near Galveston yesterday afternoon, with winds reaching up to 60 miles an hour. Dangerous rip currents and heavy rain were reported along the Gulf Coast. The storm then moved inland, dumping up to 4 inches of rain in just 1 hour, causing some dangerous flash flooding in spots near Houston. More on what you can expect this weekend with the forecast. Angie Lastman joins us now with your morning news, now weather. Angie, good morning.
Hi there, Joe. Good morning to you. We've got a bit of a kind of busy setup for the weekend, some of it including the heat and some including flooding. So let's talk about that. We've got this heat dome that's going to expand over the coming days. It's kind of centered over parts of the west, but notice it builds to include parts of the central United States and the east as we get through at least the weekend and into Monday. We could see temperatures 90s, 100s, anywhere from 10 to 25 degrees above normal for what we usually see. On top of that, we're going to see this kind of other effect from when we have a really strong heat dome. It's this band of thunderstorms that often we call the ring of fire, where you get just enough instability, you get just enough heat and moisture, where you see some of those thunderstorms firing up right along that edge of that heat dome. So we've got the monsoon thunderstorms, and even on Sunday and Monday, we're talking about a severe threat across parts of the Midwest. So we'll watch for that. In the meantime, today, right now, we've got a whole lot of heat alerts up, 67 million people, middle of the country and the western half of the country included in these. As we gear up for, again, 90s and triple digits in a lot of spots. Denver heads to 95 today. Phoenix ends up at 114. We've got milder conditions for now across the Midwest and parts of the Ohio Valley, but we'll kind of moderate out as we get into the weekend and then see those temperatures on the rise beyond that. 104 in Pierre as we get to tomorrow, 94 for Minneapolis, still hanging on to those really summer-like temperatures well into next week if you live across the middle of the country. It's 103 in Dallas on Monday, 106 in Wichita, mid-90s as we begin our next work week in Des Moines.
Wichita mention, let's go! I knew there was a reason I was watching the weather. I knew there was a reason I was watching the weather, ladies and gentlemen. I knew it. I knew it, okay? I was thinking, why are we watching the weather? By the way, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream.
And even those high 90s on Monday in Denver. So still feeling very summer-like, and the heat index values not...
The heat is hot. Did you guys know that? Were you guys aware of that fact? It's actually kind of crazy, isn't it? It's hot. The heat is hot. Dude, these fucking drones are fucking me up. Damn these drones. Anyways, let's see if there's anything else before I head on up out of here, before I mosey myself out. Lego Scandal Clown keeps embarrassing himself. We could probably watch that tomorrow. House Democrats outline agenda as midterm election looms. Actually, let's watch this. I'll speed it up.
Donald Trump and House Republicans have failed the American people. Costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs have gone up. ICE is completely and totally out of control, spending billions of taxpayer dollars to brutalize and kill American citizens and to violently target law-abiding immigrants. The Trump tariffs have cost the American people thousands of dollars per year in additional expense. Republicans have enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, and as a result, hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers all across the country, particularly in rural America, are on the brink of closure. Republicans have refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, putting in jeopardy the health insurance of more than 20 million Americans and causing premiums to skyrocket, in some instances, more than $1,000 in additional expense per month. Donald Trump and Republicans have launched a reckless war of choice in the Middle East that hasn't made America safer, but that has resulted in the tragic death of 18 brave service members. Hundreds more have been seriously injured, including confronting the possibility of traumatic brain injury for the rest of their lives. More than $100 billion in taxpayer money has been wasted by Donald Trump over in the Middle East, a war that he promised never to get us into. And yet, one of the main things that has changed as a result of that reckless and costly war of choice, Operation Epic Failure, is that gas prices have dramatically increased and are now north of $4.18.
That one's fire, bro. That one is fire. Operation Epic Failure. Whoa. Okay, you guys may cringe at that, but I think that's fire.
Per gallon across the country. Donald Trump and Republicans have failed the American people, which is why they clearly are on the run and are on the verge of losing control of the House of Representatives. In many instances, Republicans have already lost control of the floor of the House of Representatives, as Democrats just demonstrated once again by successfully passing a war powers resolution. As part of our continuing effort to bring Donald Trump's reckless war of choice in the Middle East to a close, House Democrats are fighting for an affordable America. And as we return home to our districts all across the country, we will make clear to the American people that our promise to them is to lower the cost of groceries, gas, and housing. Our promise to the American people is that we will fight for affordable health care for every single American. And our promise to the American people is that we will hold the crooks accountable. If you're a crook in
Kentucky's Dem governor, Andy Beshear, keeps having to move funds around because they keep cutting
United States of America, and you've been stealing from the American people.
No shock there. They hate.
We're coming after you.
You know, Republicans, they hate, if they hate one thing, it's helping their fellow Americans. So, makes sense to me.
So we can deliver a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Questions?
Mr. Leader, good morning. Thank you. With what's happening in Iran now, will Democrats recalibrate their message on Iran? Will we see ads on Iran going into midterms?
We don't have to recalibrate our message. We've been opposed to Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And what's clear now is that the overwhelming majority of the American people reject this war, understand it was completely and totally unnecessary, that Donald Trump promised not to start forever wars, but to stop them, and instead turned around and in the Middle East has done the exact opposite. So we're going to continue, as we've done once again forcefully on the floor today, to make clear that this Trump-Republican war in Iran needs to come to an end immediately.
Mr. Leader, I was just wondering, what's your response that you're telling members that have been raising concerns about the D-Trip going into primaries and losing?
I have complete and total confidence in Susan DelBene, her leadership of the DCCC, and as a result of that leadership, I'm confident we're going to take back control of the House of Representatives in November.
Mr. Leader, do you agree with Zoran?
Hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. If Democrats do retake the House in midterms, you would have possibly some contested committee chairmanships. I'm just curious, I know seniority has been a priority of the Democratic caucus for a long time. Do you still see seniority as a factor or even the most important factor in determining who leads committees?
It's never been the only factor. It's always been a factor. Seniority is really experience. Experience should translate into whether you've been able to deliver effectively in leading a committee. And the caucus is going to work its will as we move forward. At the end of the day, we can't put the cart before the horse. We got to still go out and win this thing in November. And we're going to do everything possible to do just that. We have great candidates all across the country. DCCC, once again, just announced second quarter, we outraised the Republican National Campaign Committee. House Majority PAC has had a record-breaking 6 months in the on year on top of a record-breaking off year. And clearly, the environment, as repeatedly demonstrated by public opinion survey after public opinion survey, most recently from Fox News, all point in the same direction. But we're not taking anything for granted. We want to keep our foot on the gas pedal, run through the finish line to try to do what has to be done for the American people. And then, if we're in a position to organize, heading into the majority in the 120th Congress next year, then that's what we'll do.
Mr. Leader, do you agree with Zoran Mamdani's position that the federal government should comply with the ICC's arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
I haven't talked to him about this issue. He's been very vocal on the issue. I continue to maintain the position that, one, we've got to figure out how to move things in a better direction in the Middle East. And for me, that means a safe and secure Israel as a Jewish and democratic state living side by side in peace and prosperity with an independent Palestinian state that provides dignity.
Dude, fuck yes. This is exactly what... I mean, I think this is great. You know, the lefties might have a problem with it, but I think this is good messaging. This is exactly what I believe. And, like, almost exactly. Like, you know, Israeli security is important because when they don't have that security, they just start killing more people. And that is because they are ruled, unfortunately, by their fears of what happened during October 7th. And we can't deny that, but there's exactly what I say. Hey, what's up, Derek? Good to see you.
Self-determination and respect for the Palestinian people.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. The president said it's going to be at the EPA rolling out an announcement about the ratepayer protection pledge, which he says AI companies are going to be making commitments to lower costs and protect consumers from the cost of data centers being built in their neighborhoods. My question is, do you think that a commitment, a pledge to the Trump administration is sufficient on this issue? A lot of consumers are concerned about not only the economic impacts of data centers being built in their neighborhoods, but the environmental impacts. Is that something that you think can be subdued with a commitment, or is that something that Congress is going to have to do legislatively?
Congress is ultimately going to have to legislate in this area with respect to artificial intelligence generally. We want to make sure, obviously, that America can continue to lead in the race to innovate in this space, while at the same period of time ensuring that we are vigilantly protecting the quality of life of the American people. You know, under the leadership of Ted Lieu, Josh Gottheimer, and Valerie Fouché, we have been engaging with stakeholders all across the country to be prepared to actually legislate in a serious way moving forward on all of these issues, because Donald Trump and the Republicans have dropped the ball.
Speaker Johnson's almost taken a page out of your book lately and talking about similarly, team normal versus team crazy as it relates to communism. How do you break through that message?
It doesn't seem to be working if you actually look at the reaction of the American people in terms of who's on the verge of taking back control of the House of Representatives. These people are desperate. They're flailing all over the place because Republicans have failed to deliver a single thing that makes life better for the American people. In fact, what they've consistently delivered is breaking promises. That's what the Republican track record shows. That's why they're in deep trouble in so many ways. Republicans promised to lower the high cost of living on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they've gone up. Republicans promised that immigration enforcement in this country was going to target the worst of the worst. Instead, ICE is spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money to brutalize or kill American citizens and to violently target law-abiding immigrant families. Republicans promised to love and cherish Medicaid and then turned around and enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, ripping health care away from more than 14 million Americans. Republicans promised not to start endless wars in the Middle East, but to stop them, and then turned around and got us involved in this reckless and costly war of choice in Iran, and gas prices are skyrocketing out of control in an economy that is suffocating and drowning the American people. And so I haven't really followed all of the hyperbole that's come out of Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise and others, because I don't think the American people are taking it seriously. And it's certainly the case that the extraordinary candidates that are running in districts all across America, including Kate Conley in New York, Rebecca Bennett in New Jersey, Diana Mendoza in
Rick, I understand what happened at the Nova Festival was heartbreaking. What are you talking about? Do you think I'm like some pro-Hamas like simp? Not at all, bro. But Israeli security is going to be, I just said Israeli security is just as important as Palestinian sovereignty. What a joke. What a joke. This, one guy, right?
Arizona, three extraordinary, patriotic, brave women, combat veterans, can't be painted as anti-American. And the Republicans know it, but everything else that they've tried up until this point has failed. And this effort to label us as communists is going to fail as well.
Thank you, Leader. Earlier this week, Democrats voted against the Republican CR, citing concerns about the potential for border patrol funding. Is that going to be a red line in September? Do you all need language that explicitly zeroes out that funding for you all to support the CR in September? And have you started coordinating with Schumer on a strategy to avoid shutdown in October?
Our view remains the same in terms of arriving at a spending agreement in September. We're not down with the my way or the highway Republican approach. That has gotten them nowhere. And I don't know why they continue to go back to that playbook. Even John Thune has said, with respect to the Republican continuing resolution related to the upcoming fiscal year, that spending bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. Chuck Schumer didn't say that exclusively. John Thune did. So Mike Johnson, House Republicans, they're not even on the same page with members of their own party. The my way or the highway Republican approach will continue to crash and burn. It will fail. And so our view is the appropriators should sit down, led by Rosa DeLauro on our side, and enter into a bipartisan conversation about reaching an agreement that is actually designed to meet the needs of the American people. And if that can't be done in advance of September 30th, then we should enter into a bipartisan continuing resolution that gives the appropriators the space to actually enact a spending bill at some point prior to the end of this calendar year that lifts up the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people.
There was a meeting yesterday with the DPCC about messaging for the August district work period. Can you share what was told to members in that setting?
Well, I'm thankful for all of the work that's been done by the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee. On Sunday, we will be launching an effort connected to our commitment to fight for an affordable America and have 100 days of action beginning this Sunday, July 26th, making clear to the American people that we're focused on lowering the cost of groceries and gas and housing. We're committed to a country that provides affordable health care for every American. And we also are committed as Democrats to hold the crooks accountable who've been robbing the American people blind. And that includes a whole lot of folks in this town and folks across the country.
Leader Jeffries, the DNC is deciding, they're starting this discussion about deciding the order of the presidential primaries for 2028. I want to know where you are standing on that, and do you view this as like tipping the balance of power in favor of one faction of the party or another? What do you think of this?
Yeah, it seems that the discussions to date have been robust and have been comprehensive, and we'll see what they come up with over the next couple of days in terms of the Rules Committee, and then ultimately I think it has to go to the entire body of the DNC at some point in August. I haven't expressed a public position other than making clear I support Jim Clyburn's view that South Carolina should clearly play a preeminent role, as it has done now for several presidential cycles, in terms of the early nominating process, particularly in an environment where we've seen the Supreme Court unleash Jim Crow-like tactics in the Deep South, trying to undermine the ability of African Americans to select the candidates of their choice.
Mr. Leader, have you been briefed on the Saudi Arabia nuclear deal of the president's, and even if not, what's your overall assessment?
Yeah, I have not been briefed on the so-called nuclear deal with the president. And it's hard to know. He's announced how many different ceasefires, Donald Trump, how many different ceasefires has he announced during the course of the reckless and costly war of choice in Iran? Is there anything that he says, particularly when it relates to so-called agreements, that we can take seriously? And so, any responsible president actually would have provided a briefing through his cabinet secretaries in advance of any sort of public proclamation. But, this is how Donald Trump behaves. He's always chasing attention. I mean, he disgraced himself after the World Cup final. Looked like the old man in a club that no one wanted around. He's the only one that couldn't figure it out. So we can't, there's nothing that he's saying right now that any of us can take seriously. And that's unfortunate because he's gotten us involved in a war that has now cost the lives of 18 brave service members in Iran.
We're getting closer to Debbie Wasserman-Schultz's primary in Florida. Are you planning to endorse the Congresswoman?
I'm looking forward to getting involved in the August primaries, of which there will be primaries on August 4th, there'll be primaries on August 11th, and then the Florida primaries will be in August 18th. And as I've said repeatedly, Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz has been a highly effective member of the United States Congress and a valuable member of both the leadership team and the House Democratic Caucus. And I have more to say about that race and some of the other races in August where we haven't weighed in yet sometime soon.
Corruption is one of the pillars of the Democratic agenda. You've mentioned it a couple times in your responses already, going after not just potentially here in Washington, but across the country. Can you clarify exactly what that means? Is that obviously cabinet officials, but also corporations? Like, how are the committees of jurisdiction already kind of starting to think about what Democrats can do? Not just thinking about who to target here, but also how are you making sure that when Democrats are out on the campaign trail talking about these targets, they don't potentially overpromise to their constituents who or how they make the rules?
Our commitment to the American people is pretty simple. We will hold the crooks accountable. That's exactly what the American people want to see done. Because the corruption that has occurred over the last 18 plus months is out of control. The most corrupt administration.
Video by Dan. If I'm not about to sign off, let's see what it's about. Let's take a look-see.
When we refer to the,
you know what? Yeah, I'll read it. I'll watch this. I like the Enoch stuff. That shit's interesting.
In American history, it's not even close in terms of who may fall second in that regard. And there have been a lot of folks across this country who made the decision early on to bend the knee to Donald Trump. And if they've gotten themselves involved in corrupt dealings, undermining the best interests of the American people, then they should be held accountable. And we have a responsibility as a separate and co-equal branch of government to serve as a check and balance on an out-of-control president, and to make sure we're exposing anyone who may be working with that out-of-control administration, in this instance, the Trump cartel, undermining the best interests of the American people. Look, it's clear to us that if you've got people in government who are focused more on enriching themselves, their family, their friends, and their big donors, then they're not focused on making life better for the American people. And that's part of the problem that we have right now, that we've got a president and others who've shown no interest in improving the quality of life of the American people. And that's not speculative. Donald Trump has said it repeatedly in his own words. Donald Trump has said the affordability crisis is a hoax. Donald Trump has said he does not think about, he doesn't give a damn, in my view, does not think about the personal financial situation of the American people. His words, not mine. Donald Trump has said he loves the inflation. Donald Trump has said we're so busy fighting wars, we don't have money for daycare, Medicare, and Medicaid. Donald Trump said that. And so clearly he's got other things on his mind. So does the administration. So do House Republicans. This is why things have gotten worse in this country. The Trump economy is a disaster. Everyday Americans are drowning in the Trump economy. And that's why we're committed, as House Democrats, to fighting for an affordable America. To make sure in this country, when you work hard, when you play by the rules, you can live a comfortable life, an affordable life, and live the good life. And we know how that looks. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and then when it's all said and done, a good retirement. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Based. I know a lot of people, some people hate on Hakeem, but I thought that was based as fuck. What are we, what are we looking for? I think that's, I think the Democrat position on corruption is incredibly based too, because it does cost you money when people are acting corruptly. It directly costs you money. So, based as hell, we love Hakeem. Anyways, let's finish up with this video by Dan, and then I'll skedaddle, okay?
When we refer to the book of Enoch, we're usually referring to First Enoch. All right, let's see it. Is a book that claims to be written in the time frame of Genesis chapter 6, just prior to the biblical flood narrative. And this comes around in this 400-year period between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament.
So the notion that there is a 400-year gap between the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament presupposes not only the historicity of every word of the Hebrew Bible, but also the accuracy of traditional authorship and dating of all the texts of the Hebrew Bible. And that's rejected by the overwhelming majority of scholars. The last book of the Hebrew Bible that was written, according to the scholarly consensus, would be the book of Daniel, which was probably mostly finalized in the 160s BCE. So if we date Paul's writings to the late 40s, the 50s, the early 60s CE, we've really got roughly 200 years between the last text written in the Hebrew Bible and the beginning of the New Testament. But this presupposition that every last word of the Bible is historical and traditional authorship and dating are all accurate undergirds the entire argument. It's begging the question, really, in a lot of ways. In fact, here's another example of Wes getting up and doing a presentation about the historical reliability of the Bible, but beginning by laying the epistemological foundation of we're going to be presupposing everything is reliable and historical, and all the traditional assignments of authorship and dating are also all accurate. Check this out.
Because the Bible is not one book as much as it's 66 books. 66 books written over a period of about 1,600 years on 3 different continents by close to 40 different authors in 3 different languages. And so there's complexity to that.
Now, as I've pointed out many times in the past, the data don't support these claims apart from the fact that it was written in 3 different languages. All the other claims must presuppose the historicity, the inerrancy, the univocality, as well as the traditional authorship and dating of every last syllable of the Bible. And guess what Wes is never going to substantiate anywhere in that entire class? Those presuppositions. That is where we're starting from, the presupposition that all of these things are true, that the Bible is reliable. Once you're presupposing that, once you've agreed to presuppose that, it's just a lateral step to, oh, well, here are ways you can think about the Bible and feel better about presupposing its reliability. It's just begging the question from beginning to end, which means that you're setting out to prove what you are already presupposing. And the presuppositions are the evidence that allow you to prove the presuppositions. It's just textbook begging the question. And that's what Wes is doing here as well. Every part of the framework, every part of the epistemological substructure for his argument is presupposing the inerrancy, the historicity of the biblical text, as well as the accuracy of traditional dating and authorship, which is just profoundly fallacious.
Jude quotes it. The only unambiguous quote from anything, really, is when Jude quotes what is probably a potential reference of Enoch 1:9.
It's not probably a potential reference. It's a direct quotation, as the overwhelming majority of scholars agree. But you have to try to cast some doubt on it because you don't want Jude to be identifying the Book of the Watchers as inspired prophecy. Because if you do that, then Jude is identifying at least the Book of the Watchers in 1 Enoch as inspired prophecy, which is Scripture.
Part of the trickiness of it is that he says, when Enoch prophesied, he says, and Enoch is not actually prophesying in the book of Enoch, in that particular section.
Enoch is 100% prophesying in this part of the book of Enoch. It's the first chapter, it's the 9th verse, and the first verse begins by introducing the text as the blessing that Enoch gave to the chosen. And it goes on to have Enoch saying that this is the vision I was shown by the Holy One, and I expound not for this generation, but for a distant coming generation. And then he expounds the oracle, which includes verse 9, which talks about what's going to happen in that day. The notion that this is not Enoch prophesying in this part of the book is pure and utter nonsense. I have absolutely no idea where Wes got that, but he doesn't seem to have read this part of the book of Enoch.
So some individuals, like Peter Gentry at Phoenix Seminary, has proposed that actually that's not a quotation of Enoch, or at least a direct citation. It's part of a oral tradition that is referenced in Enoch, and both Enoch picks up on it and Jude picks up on it.
So Wes seems to be talking about this 2017 Gentry article from the Tyndall Bulletin, which at absolutely no point says, oh, by the way, this isn't Enoch actually prophesying in this passage. The argument that Gentry puts forth is an argument that Wes expounds elsewhere for why we shouldn't understand this to be Jude identifying the Book of the Watchers as inspired Scripture. And the argument is basically that, well, the quotation doesn't exactly match our manuscripts. Of course, we don't have any manuscripts of Enoch that come within a century in either direction of the letter of Jude. And so there's an awful lot of textual pluriformity to the various manuscripts of the book of Enoch. Most of what we have comes from translation from much later manuscripts, but we do have an Aramaic, a fragmentary Aramaic manuscript from the Dead Sea Scrolls that gets pretty close to what Jude is saying. So Gentry's argument is basically, well, we don't know for sure that Jude was actually quoting from an edition of the Book of the Watchers because it doesn't line up exactly. The majority of critical scholars don't take that argument seriously because the quotation in the letter of Jude is well within the kind of standard deviation of the different manuscripts we have of Jude. And again, most of our manuscripts are translations. We do have some Greek manuscripts from a handful of centuries after the letter of Jude that diverge from the Aramaic that we have from the 1st century BCE as well as from the letter of Jude. And Gentry just says at the bottom of this page in this paragraph, another possibility is that both the author of the letter of Jude and the author of the Book of the Watchers, the first chapter of 1 Enoch, are drawing from some other tradition. And that's the reason there's such proximity between the two. But he does suggest, we can't say for sure that the author of the letter of Jude is quoting directly from 1 Enoch. Again, the overwhelming majority of scholars would disagree with that. This is not a conclusion that you arrive at from a critical and sober evaluation of the data. This is a conclusion that you bring to the data and that you try to defend over and against the data. That's why it's a paper that has to be published in the Tyndall Bulletin, because it wouldn't fly in critical scholarship. And Wes is misrepresenting it anyway.
But the reason why we don't necessarily look at Jude, even if he is quoting Enoch directly, and say, well, therefore then Enoch is scripture, because we have a broader picture of what the Jews considered scripture in Jude's day, and it didn't include Enoch.
So if we actually take a look at the broader picture that is cobbled together from the different evidence that we have from the 1st and 2nd century CE, the Jewish conceptualization of scripture is rather pluriform. Yes, Josephus is one articulation of a 22-book canon where the 22 books are never cataloged, and Wes likes to presuppose that the specific cataloging that came along in later centuries can be retrojected back into the late 1st century CE, but has to overlook things like the fact that Josephus repeatedly refers to 1st Esdras and not the book of Ezra, and a lot of critical scholars have pointed out Josephus seems to prefer the apocryphal version over and against what is now considered the canonical version. There are a lot of problems with just presupposing, since we can divide up the 39 books of the Hebrew Bible in a way that corresponds to 22 or 24 books, that must have been what they meant. That's just a presupposition. That's just confirmation bias. The picture is a lot stickier than that. But what Wes is trying to do is overrule what's very clearly in Jude by appealing to rather conservative interpretations of a very limited and myopic set of data from the late 1st century CE, specifically just what Josephus says.
When I reference the Josephus passage, when he talks about nothing being before Moses, well, Enoch is claiming to be written before Moses. So Josephus excludes Enoch because he says no scripture is written before Moses, and so therefore if this is written before Moses, or at least that's the claim it makes, it's not scripture.
So the argument is Josephus dictates what all Judaism is allowed to think at the end of the 1st century CE or the beginning of the 2nd century CE, and since Josephus doesn't accept it as scripture, then Jude cannot be calling it scripture. And that's just a bizarre appeal to authority. If we allow these data to operate on their own terms, if we take seriously what's going on in the letter of Jude, the author very clearly thinks that at least the Book of the Watchers is inspired scripture, is inspired prophecy, is historical, is authoritative. And as late as Tertullian, close to the end of the 2nd century CE, we have fervent arguments in favor of the authenticity, the authority, the inspired nature, the scriptural status for 1st Enoch. So what Wes is doing is isolating a single author and saying this author overrules not just the inspired New Testament author, but also later Christian authorities who helped put together the doctrine of the Trinity. It's leveraging one person over and against another, not because the data require we go in that direction, but because we have begun with a presupposition and we're just trying to perform whatever argument we need to perform to make people who already presuppose the dogma that we have presupposed feel like they are justified in doing so, feel like we've ginned up the tiniest little sliver of not impossible.
I mean, it actually wasn't written before Moses. It was written even after Esther in that intertestamental period.
And so was the book of Daniel and some other books. And some books were heavily edited in that period as well. But you would have to not presuppose the historicity, the inerrancy, and the accuracy of traditional authorship and dating in order to be able to engage that. And that's a bridge too far for Wes. Wes is absolutely going to presuppose all of those things. In fact, in interviews, he has said, I presuppose this stuff.
I mean, I obviously have the bias of the fact that I'm a Christian. I believe this stuff is true. And so I'm coming at something like the 66 books of the Bible with a presupposition that I believe that they're inspired.
This is not scholarship. This is presuppositional apologetics. This is a performance. This is intended to make people feel like they're justified in these dogmas because Wes has ginned up the tiniest little sliver of not impossible, even if the argument is fundamentally fallacious.
But if we're going by the New Testament authors quoting something, therefore it's scripture, then we would also have to say when Paul quotes pagan philosophers, which he does in places like Mars Hill in the book of Acts, then those need to be scripture too.
So Wes knows better than this. We're not going by New Testament authors quoting stuff. We're going by New Testament authors quoting stuff as inspired prophecy. There's an enormous difference. Wes is aware of this difference, but is retreating to the low-hanging apologetic fruit of straw man fallacies.
I don't think that's reasonable.
Not a single syllable of Wes's argument has yet collided with the realm of reasonable. This is fallacy through and through. Wes doesn't really know what he's talking about here. I get the sense that he probably knows better when it comes to some of these things, like the very last point he tried to make. But Wes is not an expert in these things. Wes is somebody who's trying to simulate expertise, trying to perform expertise, but is really just performing the exact same circular and fallacious arguments that we've been seeing on the internet for as long as the internet has been around. And the fit for this video is the Data Over Dogma podcast in lovely San Diego, California.
Shout out. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for chilling with me. We will be live at 5 p.m. Sorry, I'm stretching. 5 p.m. CST, where we will be debating the MAGA and all that good stuff. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Whoa. Rick here, having a MAGA moment. What's going on, buddy? I didn't know Rick here was having a gamer moment. Uh-oh. Old Ricky having a bit of a gamer moment here. Uh-oh. Yeah, I know. Don't worry. Hey, I understand. It is very frustrating, but we'll get out of this. Don't worry. This is just a moment in American politics. It's not the it won't be the constant. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I am gonna get on up out of here. Like I said, I'll be live at 5 p.m. CST for anybody that wants to debate or just have a conversation. Anyways, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.